Good morning, welcome to Catex TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Tuesday, October 14th, 2014. You can follow us on Twitter at Catex TV. There was a large earthquake of 7.3 magnitude on the Richter scale last night. It struck in the water off El Salvador and Panama. Fortunately, there do not seem to be any injuries yet, nor is there a tsunami or tidal wave alert. The quake struck about 42 miles west-southwest of Juquillo, just off the coast of San Salvador. It was felt in Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama. It was quite a shake. A 7.3 is not a small event. In Indiana, on Interstate 65 in Greenwood, Indiana, this morning at about 4:30 a.m., a so-called Megabus overturned. It was a double-decker bus operated by a company that was transporting people from Georgia to Chicago. It was USA Bus Tours. Apparently there were injuries, but they do not seem to be life-threatening. Indiana State Police say the investigation will take several weeks. Hurricane Gonzalo has formed late yesterday in the Caribbean. It's on course now to move out over the open ocean. This is after blasting Antigua and other islands in the area. Passed over Antigua as a tropical storm, but by the time it hit, St. Martin, it had been classified as a hurricane. According to meteorologists, it's expected to take a turn away from Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, but it does pose a threat to Bermuda later this week. This, of course, is after Bermuda was hit by Tropical Storm Faye on Sunday morning. Meteorologists are saying it's certainly something that the people in Bermuda will want to pay attention to. It has current maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour, and it's expected to pick up some strength now as it moves over the open water. Typhoon Vongfong has now been downgraded to an extratropical depression. It spared Japan the widespread destruction expected from this year's most powerful storm. It killed 2 people in Japan, including a person in Tottori Prefecture who fell into an irrigation ditch and he was checking his persimmon orchard. The typhoon made landfall in Kagoshima Prefecture and traversed through Kyushu and Tohoku before heading out to sea on 6 p.m. October 14, Japanese time. The Lloyd's managing agency ANV has disclosed that the former Jubilee Syndicate 5820 is facing a possible capital loading of £5 million. This is on its 2015 solvency capital requirement. The syndicate said it had received informal feedback from Lloyd's regarding the current view of the capital planning group and that a loading of up to £5 million was being considered. ANV said that any exact amount would depend on ongoing discussions with Lloyd's. Interestingly enough, Standard & Poor's had an observation about the current trends of multi-year reinsurance deals. Multi-year reinsurance deals are now being offered by reinsurers as competition heats up because of low prices. They're offering coverage enhancements to clients. Standard & Poor's said that this could indicate a weakening of reinsurance underwriting standards. Interestingly, one of the additions of the coverage enhancements include features aimed at securing the business, including the bundling of unmodeled risks, adding cyber or terror coverage, as well as the offer of the multi-year coverage. Standard & Poor's is quite correct in identifying this trend as a possible compromise to underwriting standards. The big bank Credit Suisse is coming into Lloyd's. They're going to be funding a sidecar at Barbican syndicates. Credit Suisse is going to put up £40 million of capacity to back Syndicate 1955 via the special purpose vehicle. It's going to write a whole account quota share of Barbican's Lloyd book if it receives final approval from the corporation. Credit Suisse will just be the latest of ILS funds after Nephila and Securus have come in much the same way. This would give Credit Suisse access to a diversified book of business. Barbican is not a major player in the Lloyd's cat market, but it does in fact cover marine reinsurance, casualty treaty, professional indemnity, and property insurance. It would be a good mix of business for Credit Suisse. U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel, in a closed-door meeting in the Pentagon yesterday with military chiefs, said that rising sea levels and other effects of climate change will pose major challenges for the U.S. military. including more and worse natural disasters and the threat that food and water shortages could fuel disputes and instability around the world. The report, described as a Pentagon roadmap, identifies 4 things that it says will affect the American military: rising global temperatures, changing precipitation patterns, more extreme weather, and rising sea levels. Well, he's back. Kim Jong-un has apparently now been seen in public after 40 days of not being seen in public. He was walking on a cane touring the newly built Wisong Scientist Residential District in Pyongyang, part of his, quote, regular field guidance tours. Mr. Kim actually looked pretty good. He seems to have lost about 22 pounds, and aside from walking with the cane, appeared to be in good health. This should put to rest, at least, the current rumor of the month that he was overthrown or was deathly ill, etc., etc. North Korea has been on a little bit of a charm offensive of late, if you exclude their artillery shells being lobbed back and forth over the border with South Korea, but they're on a diplomatic offensive in Europe and elsewhere. Perhaps now his re-emergence signals that the charm offensive is going to switch into high gear. I don't quite know how charming he is, but I've never met the man. Hopefully I will not. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.